Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Pete, welcome back. Films and Stuff. I am bouncing. I feel like you're bouncing as well. Tell me why.
Because we're going to talk about Andor.
We are back. Lucasfilms.
The show that you were most anticipating.
Disney, the Mouse House, they're back. Andor, we've got a new reason to dust off Disney Plus, log on again, since She-Hulk failed so spectacularly.
Really badly.
Does Andor make up for it? So maybe we start this way. What were your expectations going in? And since they released 3 episodes, what's your impression now having watched these 3?
So I find that, let's start with, in general, I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I think what's really interesting is that it doesn't feel like Star Wars, even though it obviously is Star Wars. It doesn't feel like Star Wars. So it's set in the Star Wars universe, but at no point does it rub Star Wars in your face.
Yeah.
Right? You see androids, you see robots, you see spaceships, but you don't have like the random flyby of an X-Wing or of a TIE fighter or of like stormtroopers walking around. In fact, you don't see any stormtroopers.
No stormtroopers.
And so it allows you to see let's say the burgeoning empire that is the Empire.
Right. So how many years prior to A New Hope, right? So when we saw the film Rogue One, what year did Rogue One come out? Maybe like 4 years ago? 3 years ago?
Maybe longer, actually.
So after Rogue One led directly into A New Hope, how many years prior to Rogue One do you think Andor is set right now?
Oh, we know. It's 5, right?
So Andor is 5 years prior to Rogue One?
Yeah, so remember when we first see the show, when we first open, it says 5 BBY, right? So that means it's 5 years before the Battle of Yavin.
Oh, that's what that meant. I did not know that.
Sorry. Yeah, okay, so this is where things get a little weird in the sense that for your average Star Wars viewer who doesn't know anything about Star Wars, the timing conventions, like on Earth we use BC and AD, right? And colloquially it's before Christ and after death. That not what it is, but that's colloquially what it is. In the Star Wars universe, their year conventions are based on the Battle of Yavin, i.e. the first Death Star destruction.
Oh.
This takes place 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, 5 BBY. And that means that this season and the next season, because it's confirmed it's 2 seasons of 12 episodes each, will take place in the 5 years that lead up to the events of Rogue One.
So would you say, when I watch Rogue One, it's a 2-hour movie, would you say the events of Rogue One take place over a matter of weeks?
So remember, Rogue One opens with Jyn Erso as a child.
Oh, yeah, but I mean...
And then, So, I mean, the main part of it, probably, they don't explicitly say... That way, time is never really explicitly mentioned in Star Wars, right? Because you see them go into light speed. We don't know how long that takes. I mean, this is now getting into the nitty-gritty and the technical. But, yes, I don't think it spans over years. I think it spans over weeks or maybe months at most.
Okay, so Rogue One, those events take place over, let's just call it like 2 months. And then that leads directly into A New Hope. A New Hope probably takes place over the course of a couple weeks, maybe less, right?
Yeah, probably less.
Right? Luke gets the droids. His aunt and uncle are killed. He and Ben Kenobi meet Han. They take off. The tractor beam pulls them in. There's a battle. They escape. And then they do the X-Wing run and they blow up the Death Star, which is Yavin, right?
Right. That's the Battle of Yavin. That's correct.
Why did they call it Yavin, by the way?
I think, oh my God,
Yeah.
I think that maybe the planet that they're hovering over.
Oh, okay. So
Maybe, I don't know.
So that marks. So we're 5 years prior to that, and next season of Andor would be 4 years prior to that. Then, right?
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. We just know that season 1 and 2 of Andor
you're right. We don't know
ends
exactly if it's
at Rogue
consecutively.
One.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good education for me. Now I know where we are in terms of the timeline. So, are you happy with it?
Very.
Yeah.
I gotta say, remember when we talked about this a couple episodes ago or months ago, I was very hesitant to give it my all, because I was really afraid that they were gonna really Lucasfilms this whole thing. Let's throw Leia in there. Let's throw all these cameos of other people we know in there. I was really stressed out about that, actually. I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah. I think we also discussed that we weren't really sure what this show was going to be about. Like, there wasn't like a natural event that would be built around. We just didn't know like how this would be structured. So
yeah, all we know for sure is that we're going to we're going to learn about the formation of the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
Or if not the formation, just beyond the formation, and how the rebels actually worked. How did they get their intel, which we saw a little bit of in Rogue One. But, the inner workings of quite possibly the Rebel Alliance, and probably also the inner workings of the Empire and the politics involved. I imagine, based on the trailer, we're going to see a lot of politics, but not in a bad way.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, before we dive into the plot of this, my expectations were pretty baseline. They weren't too high, but at the same time, I was looking forward to this. And I think what they did was right to release 3 episodes, because the episodes are short, right? When we talk about House of Dragon and Rings of Power, they're like over an hour, they're pushing an hour. Andor, I thought all 3 were kind of between like 37 and 42 minutes, right?
Yeah, I think they had to, because my feeling is that the first 3 episodes were actually filmed as one super long episode that they just broke up into 3, because if you watch the ending of the first one, it's very abrupt. The ending of the second one also abrupt. It's not there's no natural ebb and flow to the beginning and end of each episode, except for at the very beginning of episode 1 and the very ending of episode 3.
Yeah.
I think that they were just like, okay, let's make a 90 or 120 minute long episode 1, and then let's just kind of ham-fistedly cut it up into 3 episodes and then push it out as 3 episodes, even though realistically, if you look at it from episodes 1 to 3, in terms of a coherent story, in terms of coherent cutting, that's just one story. That's one episode.
But when we look at Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan, most of those episodes were less than an hour, right?
Yeah, they were, but they were also, Mandalorian especially harkens back to the, not even our childhood, maybe our parents' childhoods, when we're talking about the old school Westerns in the US, where every episode was a self-contained story.
Yeah.
Whether it was 40 minutes or whether it was an hour, if you missed last week's episode, it wasn't a killer for you to get to what was going on in this week's episode.
Yeah.
It was. So when I say it was episodic, I really mean episodic in the sense that each episode was its own story.
Yeah, you're right. There was obviously themes that continued throughout, but you're right. You could kind of watch.
Of course. And in this one, there's no way you could do that. You couldn't skip episode 2 of 1, 2, and 3. You couldn't skip the middle episode and understand what was going on. You would be missing a lot of valuable information.
Yeah. But I like the shorter episodes. I thought that it's good to kind of keep them punchy. And I think, now the 2 big elephants in the room that Disney is competing with are obviously House of the Dragon and Rings of Power. So I feel like it's kind of smart for them to go for something a little bit shorter, a little bit punchier, and hope you bring the audience in on those shorter episodes.
And at least so far, the story seems very local. It's not like galaxy spanning. It's not empire spanning. The repercussions of one action, you don't see that, it's going to cause the end of an empire one way or another. Yeah. At least not at this stage. And I don't mean to say it's low stakes, because of course none of these stories are low stakes, but at the same time it feels that way. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of nice, which is to say you like to be able to, at the end of the week, wash your hands and be like, okay,
I agree.
I'm done with that.
Yeah.
I don't need to spend 25 minutes to 2 hours on the phone with Ethan worried about what's going to happen in episode 6 of House of the Dragon or in episode 6 of Rings of Power, because, okay, we get it. He's a scruffy guy. He's done some bad things. He is not a hero like we would expect him to be. He's really, if you think about it, Cassian Andor really comes off as not a good guy in this first 3 episodes. And then we see him end the episode by joining the Resistance, or at least what he doesn't recognize is that he's about to join the Resistance.
Yeah. Can I tell you what I liked best about this?
Yeah, please.
I loved the opening scene. I thought the opening scene really set a great tone for not overcomplicating anything. It was a little bit action-y. It was a little bit intriguey. And I thought that was just the right opening scene to kind of like grab my attention. There weren't all these kind of like complicated one-off conversations that tried to provide exposition or explain things in a narrative way. It wasn't this, highly complex action scene that they dove into right away. I thought that first scene was really the right tempo to start off this series.
Yeah, I like that the writers and the director had faith to say the viewers are going to stay with us. So we don't need to do a 20-minute exposition dump. We can just have him go into that bar, say he's looking for someone, get into an altercation, and then bugger off. That's it.
But let me ask you a question. Who is he looking for? Because at first I kind of thought like, oh, he's already joined the Rebel Alliance. He's, this is kind of like a clandestine meeting or something. You think he's just looking for an old friend and this is about like familiarity and seeking out like someone?
I think he's looking for the girl from his flashbacks when he was a kid.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. But my gut tells me that, we see by the end of the 3rd, we understand where he came from as a kid. Like he was rescued by, that older woman when he was pillaging the ship.
Yeah.
He was taken away by her, rescued by her, but separated from his family or his whatever they were.
Yeah.
Including the girl who was kind of like, I don't know if it was a sister or whatever, but there was some kind of
he had like a big brother role
relationship.
Okay.
So he got separated from her, and I guess he's just looking for her. I guess. I don't know, and I'm certain by the end of this season we'll get there.
Yeah. I mean, when you see at the beginning again, I thought it was kind of like a clandestine rendezvous, between like another member of the Rebel Alliance, and they were going to like exchange information, or she had like, one of her clients was, with the Empire. So, she was going to give him some details and she stole his swipe card or something. The fact that he's doesn't really have any concrete information and he's looking for someone, and it was a girl, right? I mean, it didn't even have to be that girl. There were obviously other like females within that like tribe of kids that he was in. The more that the show went on, I thought the less relevant, that adventure kind of was. The more reckless it was in a way, considering that he had to kind of like take someone else's ship and sneak out there and so forth. So it turned
but that's
out
what I meant, right?
not to be important.
It's really low stakes.
Yeah.
It's not a mission for the Alliance. It's a personal quest that he's on.
Yeah.
It mirrors very much the beginning of Rogue One, where he meets the defector or the guy who's helping him out from the Empire, and then he has to kill him to escape.
Yeah.
So there were lots of parallels with that. It kind of sets the stage to say Andor has always been like this.
Yeah.
In that movie, he was doing it because he couldn't risk the mission. And in this movie, he's doing it because he couldn't risk his personal freedoms, right? So again, he does not come off as a good guy in any of this.
Yeah. I guess that's really the point I want to dig into a little bit more, which is in Rogue One, he was a hero. So we kind of assumed that he was a little bit of a heroic, sympathetic, guy. And now we get introduced to him, and it's really hard in any way to find him to be a redeemable guy, right? I mean, at best, he's kind of good to, the lady who rescued him, I guess, allegedly, right? That's
like his adoptive mom, basically, right?
But apart from that, he's kind of like a scammer,
selfish jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, he owes people money, he doesn't pay them back. And then when they come up to him and ask for that money back, he's like, what are you going to do? He's just, he uses and abuses everyone he can to push himself forward as much as possible up to a breaking point, clearly.
Yeah. I mean, he is very manipulative, right? He is always kind of like running a con, but it doesn't seem like the same way. He's not really like getting anywhere, it doesn't seem, right? Someone even said that to him, like, hey, you're going to get yourself in trouble and you're not going to be able to talk yourself out of it.
Exactly. But I don't know. It's just, it's interesting to see that, because I think coupled with the fact that you've got someone who's clearly going to be the protagonist of the show isn't being shown as a protagonist.
Yeah.
And then coupled with the fact that, the show itself looks really good because it feels grimy. It feels real. It's not like the other Star Wars shows or like the other Star Wars like environments, which kind of look pristine and brand new. There's filth. There's dirt. I read into this. This show was the first of the new Star Wars era that actually built real sets.
Oh, really?
They didn't. Yeah. So like, The Mandalorian was shot on this like 360-degree sphere, like CGI space. This show, they physically built that town. They physically built scale models. They built that, all these sets. And look, I am not an artist. I can't tell the difference that way, but I can feel the difference. And this show feels better in terms of look than it does than the other ones do of this, of the new era of shows.
I have to say, I'm not sure that I'm saying that politely, Pete. I don't know if I agree with you. I thought, and I even messaged you about this separately, I thought that this looked very much like the Disney Lucasfilms. I agree that there's some things that seem to be, of course, different. But generally, if you look at Mandalorian, Boba, and Obi-Wan, all three of them had at least one scene, and more in a lot of cases, where they were kind of in this town/village. There was a long, straight, like main street. And on each side, there were low-rise residences or shops or something. I thought that was kind of like a hallmark of every show. Maybe that's the same, and there's a lot of other things that were different and purpose-built. But for me, one of the first things I saw, or I felt that I noticed was, oh yeah, this is very similar look and feel, even though the buildings are different styles and colors and, dirtiness and so forth. Like, it wasn't like, oh man, I've never seen this before. I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty familiar. Mandalorian, Boba, Obi-Wan. And to me, that made sense because it's more or less kind of the same era. I mean, I know that's...
Yeah, it's like a frontier town kind of vibe, right? Yeah.
I mean, I know that's not correct in the terms of the Star Wars timeline, but I just kind of felt like I wasn't looking at something that was totally, completely, entirely different that we haven't seen in this kind of, new generation of spin-off, TV series.
Yeah. You're not wrong. But, there were elements like the warehouse at the end of the third episode. the guy who woke everyone up, the one who was banging on that metallic gong kind of thing. Those kinds of things where you're just like, it gave that town a little bit of a visceral feel that was different from the others, right? It didn't feel like Tatooine. It didn't feel like Coruscant. This felt like a real edge of the universe mining town that people were basically, everyone who lived there was basically an employee of some kind.
Yeah.
And I loved that. And I loved that, you had the guy who basically uses that bell to alert everyone to wake them up to get the day started. But then internally, you also had all the individuals who were just like, oh, there's trouble. So they start banging on the metal, bits of metal to kind of warn everybody. So even though it's like a company town, they still are allied with each other as people, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I liked it. You're absolutely right in the sense that some elements of the town felt generally quite generic, but at the same time, the feel of the town and different elements of the town, I don't know, it made me feel like this was a different part of Star Wars or a different part, something we've not seen before.
You definitely felt, you didn't mistake it for, hey, am I on the same planet as the Mandalorian or is Boba Fett going to walk by? In that sense, yes, it was absolutely different.
Yeah, it definitely felt distinct, and I did like that.
Yeah. I guess the big event, right? The big event is that the dude, right? Luthen Rael? How do you say it? Do you know? Did they ever say his name?
I have no idea. But the
stranger.
The assistant deputy, right?
Stellan Skarsgård.
Skarsgård's character. Yeah.
So,
wonderful.
This is really the big turning point, right? Where he comes under the auspices that he's going to buy some piece of empirical, I don't know, hard drive or something.
Some imperial tech. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And instead he says, I'm not looking for the black box. I'm looking to recruit someone. Did this seem like a little bit of a stretch for you, or did this kind of seem to be like a natural flow?
I think it felt like a natural flow.
All right.
For me, I can't help but feel for me, it harkens back to like the MI5/MI6/CIA/NSA days, which is, why go after someone criminally when we can hire them to work for us instead?
Yeah.
And basically that him stealing that black box from the Imperials was almost like an audition or a test that he passed, right? Clearly. And when he says, look, I'll pay you not just for the box, but I'll pay you extra for you to tell me how you got it. And Andor says they don't look at you. You can walk in as long as you have the uniform. You just walk in and do it. I was like, yeah, that's true. Like if you think about it, like at these big places, if you look like a janitor, no one's going to second guess that whatsoever. They're not going to check your papers. And because these guys all have that ego, and you see that, right? Because he's like, they look down on everyone. And I saw that as him vetting Andor to see if this is the kind of guy we want working with us in the Resistance.
Is that how Andor got this black box? Because for me, I kind of thought that, and they didn't show it so that it refutes what I'm going to say, but I kind of thought when he was in that craft that, crashed on his planet, that, when he was trashing everything, he just kind of grabbed it, or the lady grabbed it.
Oh, no, I think that was just in the past. I think that was a different thing altogether.
So you're saying he stole it in a separate, raid?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was my feel anyway. Again, I could be very wrong, but I feel that the way he described it to Stellan Skarsgård was the way he did it. Is that he got a hold of some lackey's uniform and literally just walked right in, pretended like he was meant to be there, or at least had the arrogance and authority to be there. And so no one questioned him, and he just took it.
So prior to Skarsgård coming, the plan of Andor was really, hey, I'm going to sell this thing for a bunch of money. I'm going to use those credits and I'm going to get off this planet, right?
Yeah, but the only reason he wanted to get off that planet was because he accidentally killed one guard and then he purposefully murdered the second. So he needed to buy a way off the planet to kind of lay low.
All right. So I guess now, I mean, this is going to be, after the first 3 were released, it's just going to be on a weekly basis, you think, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is going to be just normal 1 episode a week for the next 10 weeks or 9 weeks.
And there's 12.
There is 12, yeah.
All right. I mean, what day of the week is it coming out on? Do you know?
I think Wednesdays. I think She-Hulk is the only one that comes out on Thursdays. I'm pretty sure this comes out on Wednesdays, and I think She-Hulk is almost over anyway, so.
Yeah, I haven't been following. I think you've
neither have I. Not that I care. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I have to say, I'm definitely excited about this, and I think that it fits in well, again, considering, I mean, I think if you're a studio right now, to be, distributing anything with Rings of Power and with House of Dragon kind of hanging over your head, it's really tough, to get anyone else excited in like another epic. So I think that Andor is probably like a little bit of a good change of pace for Disney. And again, I feel like they really needed something to keep them relevant. I mean, again, you and I are very unique. We have multiple subscriptions. Most people do not.
Yeah.
And considering now the HBO, Amazon, battle at the top, it seems really difficult, especially if there's Netflix, right? I mean, there's Hulu, right? I mean, I think it's really tough that people are going to dig in and try to find, okay, I need Disney also, right? And have like that be their third or fourth.
And the second battle that they really have is, forget about all that. Even if you did have Disney, Boba Fett didn't do very well for them in terms of the Star Wars franchise. It wasn't the show that people thought that Disney would be clamoring for, or that Disney thought people would be clamoring for, rather. So, if you put Mandalorian up right now, I think it would very easily compete at a very high level with Rings of Power and with House of the Dragon on I only have 1 hour to watch what platform and what show am I going to watch. I think that would easily be a competitor. Andor, I don't think would be.
Yeah.
However, what Andor, as you rightly said, does is A, it keeps Disney in the game, and B, if Andor is good, and by all rights it looks like it's going to be, I imagine that Andor will also kind of reset a little bit of the bad taste in people's mouth left by Boba Fett. Again, not that I thought Boba Fett was a terrible show, but I think a lot of people were not happy with it, relatively speaking. And especially because there was so much integration with The Mandalorian where you were just like, why even have the Boba Fett show? This seemed like the precursor to season 3 of Mandalorian. So I think this is a way for Disney to say, hey, Star Wars is not just about The Mandalorian. Let me show you what we're going to do. And that's what they've done with Andor.
Yeah. I mean, I think Boba had a lot of problems with it, which is really unfortunate because that's such an iconic character. But I agree with you. I think Andor cuts, 2 ways. And the first one is, and again, I use my family as kind of the
yardstick.
Yeah, the yardstick for this is first of all, there's not so much Star Wars in it that you can't digest it, right? So,
absolutely.
So I think that's going to appeal to a broader audience. The flip side of that is that the word Andor doesn't really mean anything to but a few people like you and me and really diehard Star Wars fans, right? Maybe Mandalorian didn't mean anything. Maybe Boba Fett didn't mean anything, but at least Andor is one word. It's a short word. It's easy to pronounce, but just in terms of like brand recognition, I don't think it's very high at all. And I think that may cut a little bit against the show.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think when you look at the Andor logo itself, it's very clearly a Star Wars show.
For you?
I don't need... I don't need... Yeah. I think your average person who has seen or knows of Star Wars, maybe isn't a huge fan, but definitely knows of the franchise. Yeah. Just looking at the logo, you're like, I don't know what Andor is. Is it a person? Is it a thing? But looking at the logo, I'm pretty sure you'd be able to deduce that it's Disney, so it's got to either be a Marvel Universe program or a Star Wars Universe program. And I think most people would automatically assume that it's Star Wars. So in that sense, one, brand recognition to Star Wars overall, not so bad. And B, I think, very, very immediately you understand that Andor is a person. So, I think in that regard, also good because we didn't see Star Wars in the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that there were some ships and there were some droids. We didn't see a stormtrooper. We didn't see an X-Wing. We didn't see a TIE fighter. We didn't see a lightsaber. None of that. Which again, low stakes, low Star Wars entry point, so anyone could watch it. I'm not saying my mom would watch it. I don't think she would. But if I forced her to sit down and watch these first 3 episodes, she wouldn't stop me every 3 seconds to ask me questions like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
What's that guy?
You're right.
What universe is this from? None of that would happen.
Mm-hmm. So taking this forward, we've got 2 seasons confirmed. Is there any visibility on what's going to be the next kind of Star Wars series spinoff? Do we have anything else in the pipeline?
Coming soon, we've got season 2 of The Bad Batch. I think that's already out.
Oh, yeah, but that's animated.
That's
right?
the animated. Yeah. Rumors are Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2 has been greenlit. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Mandalorian season 3 kicks off in February of 2023.
Oh, yeah.
Ahsoka show is coming out. They're filming that now.
Oh, yeah. That'll be big for the Star Wars crew. For the Star Wars fans, that will be very important.
Especially for those who are fans of the animated shows.
Yeah.
Because Ahsoka was very much a part of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So if you didn't watch it, I think it'll not be the super easiest to understand what's going on. Hopefully that's not the case, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's something called The Skeleton Crew. I don't know what that is. But that's also a live action. The Acolyte.
I don't know what that
which
is.
I've heard about, but I don't know what that is. And then you've got Lando,
Donald Glover.
Yes. So
man, I can't wait for Lando.
I don't know if it's confirmed. They haven't canceled it yet, but it's still in development.
Lando has to come out, but I'd like it to come out while he's still a young man. I mean, these guys age, right? I mean, it's not like you've got an unlimited window. Casting the guy in 2020 is a lot different than casting him in 2025.
I absolutely agree.
Well, I'm excited for Andor. What's your rating of this?
So I was a mooch based on the trailer.
Yeah.
And right now I'm at a subscribe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it as well. I'm going to keep it as a mooch. My rationale is that it's definitely a satisfying, a gratifying show. It's a little bit short. So, I mean, if you're just talking about, value per minute, it's a little bit on the short side. And I don't think that there's going to be as much pop culture, water cooler, spoiler talk about Andor as there would be for House of the Dragon or for Rings of Power. So by all means, I love it. I'm going to continue to watch it as soon as it comes out. But again, I don't think that it's a must subscribe considering all the other things out there right now. Maybe it will change. Let's see.
Hopefully it does. I mean, it's interesting because based on the trailer, you were at a 5 at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I was at a mooch because I was worried. And it's so interesting to see that after the first 3 episodes, all my fears were allayed.
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about it. I was all in. So again, looking purely at the show, I'm not looking at the landscape because, it's not fair to look at the landscape. Mm-hmm. Looking purely at the show right now, I'm at a must subscribe. Of course, as usual, both of us reserve the right to change our ratings by the end of the season.
Important disclaimer, yes.
We will, of course, review this maybe on a weekly or bi-weekly or fortnightly basis.
Yeah.
And we will decide, if that's going to change or not change. But you heard it here first. It's a mooch from Ethan. It's a subscribe from me.
You won't be disappointed if you do watch it. And for more recommendations, tune in to our Stream or Skipped segment where we'll talk about some new shows that we watched this week as well.
If you've got thoughts on Andor, If you think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, reach out to us, aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com, or tweet at us at FNS Podcast. Drop a comment, like, subscribe on our YouTube channel. We would love to hear from you because, Star Wars is something that's very close to Ethan and very close to my heart. So, we really will want to engage with you on this because this is definitely going to be in people's minds, at least for the next 2 months.
I love YouTube comments. Don't be shy. Win a hoodie. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Pete, thank you for your time. Thank you, listeners, for your time. We will catch you on the next episode of Films and Stuff. Goodbye now.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.